This is Karen on Lessons Learned. And today I have on, you know what? I'm going to call you my best friend because Barbara Rose Brooker, I met you, just about 9 months ago, just about the time the pandemic really took over our lives.
Yes.
And um, I met you because I read a snippet about your book, okay, that had just come out. And I knew that I wanted to know more about you and the book. Um, Love sometimes just grabbed my soul.
Thank you, Karen.
It and if people haven't listened to it, I really want them to read it or hear it on Audible. Um, you know, however you read a book, however you get close to something, because there's a little bit of all of us in that book. And as I've read it, I realized I was getting deep into your soul, Barbara. And part of me felt like a voyeur. I felt like, oh, I don't want to know these things. But yet, I'm so glad I did because I learned a lot of lessons. Okay.
Thank
Just
you.
because you're born Jewish and you live in a Jewish family doesn't mean you're special. Okay. We may in the Bible be called the chosen people, but we're chosen for some good things and some not so good things. And when I read your book, it was like, oh my gosh, Barbara and I basically grew up right around the same time period. You're the age of my older brother. So I'm on the younger end, but not by much. Okay. And I thought, how sad that we didn't have similar lives. But at
No.
the same time, I think that's what brought us together because we're learning from each other. So I asked you to be on today because I want to know about some of the lessons you've learned um, over your time period. I know that you are 84 and want to be a movie star. And as far as I'm concerned, you are a movie star. Um, but when you were young, what was the message that you got that maybe helped mold you to be the person you are today? Is there one particular message?
That's a very interesting question, Karen, because the person I am today is still in flux, still learning lessons about myself and about others. But the person I am today is a conglomeration and mixture of the good and the bad and the immature and some wisdom just from living so long. But what molded me to be today, to be pursuing a career, and not only a career, when I say career, questions about life and the lives of others. I would say what I observed. Um, my father was in the movie business for almost 50 years with Universal Pictures, and he also was a screenwriter, but had a difficult time, and he dropped dead on the set at 60. And
Wow.
the reason I'm mentioning my father is he was away all the time because he commuted from San Francisco to Los Angeles. And I felt his work ethic. I felt his he always said there is no trophy. There is no end. There are only a series of, like your show, lessons and beginnings. So the curiosity is what drives me through all the traumas and mistakes that I take accountability for. And the curiosity of other people and of my own inner life.
Sure. Absolutely. It's interesting that your father made that comment about there are no trophies because I remember when My brother, who is about 4 years older than I, went out to California to get into the business, and he got into the music business, and
Mm.
he became an engineer and a producer. And, from the Midwest, watching him, it was like, "Oh, this is so exciting. Look at all the people he's meeting. He must be making a lot of money." And, just it was envious. I was envious of him. And, I remember when he was up for his first Grammy, we were all so excited. We couldn't wait to watch the Grammys. However, we found out on that show that he wasn't gonna be awarded a Grammy on that show. He was awarded a Grammy during the week at this off the wall show, okay? He wasn't one of the big winners, but we were still excited for him. "Oh my gosh, he's got a Grammy." And I remember calling him and saying that to him, and he said, "It's nice, but now people are going to expect me to be above that level. If I've won a Grammy, I have an award, I better be better the next time." And he said, "You know what? That's a lot of pressure."
Yes.
He said, "I don't need the Grammys. I don't need the Tonys. I don't need those things. They're nice. What I need is to be able to do what I love to do." And it sounds like that's what your father was telling you.
He was saying not to have the expectations, not to have the agenda, as they say, and to work from your own capacities and to stay on your path of dreams. Stay on there because fate is leading us
Yes.
and we don't know when we're going to achieve this or that. But if we think only one goal, we're not going to get it. We're really not going to get it. You can spend all the money in the world and have publicists and this and that. You're still not going to get it. You really, Karen, the lesson I've learned the most in addressing your show, Lessons Learned, is to be completely honest and truthful with yourself, to go inside your subconscious, go into your inner life and really look at it because it's the only way you're going to ascend in any way. And God knows I make mistakes. I've made mistakes. I'm ashamed of some of my mistakes, my regrets, my moods, my angers. I see a lot of mistakes now that were driven by not doing what I'm saying now. Like the movie star thing. That's
Sure.
for, you know, I I want to be recognized. I want to walk down the aisle in my black Yves Saint Laurent dress and get the Academy Award for all my 13 novels I published. No, it's really a tongue-in-cheek
Right.
metaphor. Yes.
Absolutely. You know, and I'm glad you said that because I love repeating it to people, that you want to be a movie star because if we don't have dreams, if we don't have hopes, and what that movie star is, it it doesn't necessarily mean that you want to be, another Lana Turner or, a Lady Gaga or something like that. You want to be you. You want to be the best version of Barbara.
That's what it is, Karen. You hit it on the nail. That's what I mean by movie star. And I connect it to being 84 because, as we know, people at 60, at 50, and 80 and 90 think, oh, I can't do this. It's too late. It's over. And you're told that too.
Absolutely.
And
But
before I say this,
But for years we've heard about how Grandma Moses actually painted her first paintings and
yes,
became famous when she was in her 90s. So why do we think that our life is over when we hit 40 or 50 or 60. Um, we don't have, we aren't born with an expiration date. We know an expiration date is out there, but we don't know when that's going to be. So until it happens, okay, we have the ability to be whatever we choose to be.
Karen, that's so well said. And what you just said to me is the core of living life without thinking about the numbers. That little boy who used to be on Larry King show, he was 12 or 11 and he had a disease and he was dying. And he wrote that little book that became an international, Maddie, I think his name was. He lived such a full life at 12. And I think what you're addressing and saying is because of our culture's anti-age message, and because of the emphasis on numbers and age, very ironically, people really miss pursuing their passions.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What's that?
And I recognize that when I was a teenager going off to college, I had these lofty ideas of what I wanted to pursue. And I've shared it on your show and many others. My parents looked at me and said, "There's no way we're going to pay for you to go to college to go into broadcasting. No woman is ever going to make it." And in 1968, that's the way it looked. And, you know, I fought with them over it and they said, "No, you can go and become a teacher." And so they spent their money on me, assuming that's what I was doing. And when they found out I wasn't and that I was going for communications, after 2 years, they said, "No more." Um, and it bothered me, but I also understood at the time. But I never really found my voice until my youngest son was graduating from high school. And I realized he's going to go to college. I have 2 years of a degree, but not completely what I want to do. And I said, I'm going back to school. If he can do it, I can do it. Now, big age gap between the two of us and what he can do and I can do, but I did it. And I did it better than I would have when I was in my 20s. And that's when it dawned on me, it's not about your age, it's about what you are willing to do to be the person you want to be.
Oh, Karen, thank you for that. And by the way, congratulations and bravo for what you've done and are doing and where you're going. Uh, it's very interesting. I had a similar experience. I was taught to marry a rich man was the message.
Yep.
Poor mother, God bless her soul, would say. And I married twice, and never saw a dime, but married twice. And and I had said to my father, I want to write and I want to act, and he said, go to secretarial school. The business is terrible, which I did. So similar. So by the time I published my excuse me, my first novel at 50, and now I'm 84, and I as I said, I published many. But the point is, um, we did it, and we will continue pursuing, and I hope so many other women will continue pursuing. um, what I'm finding, which is kind of sad, is because of the anti-age message in our culture and not a pro-age culture, and because of the age segregation, different groups at different ages being defined by numbers.
Right.
I'm finding there's all that ageism has become a vocation. And there are so many women now at different ages, from 30 all the way up, who are writing books about it and lecturing about it and holding up the books and cons- and exploiting it as far as I'm concerned, because nobody owns age except for ourselves. And age is
Wonderful.
not a number, it's who we are. As you just said, at any age, it's who we are. You did it early, and you're now reaching a certain plateau and moving forward. And you're not thinking about, oh my God, I'm 60 or I'm 70, and I'm not really thinking I'm 84 and 90. The only reason I mention 84 is for so many women out there. So many of my students in my writing workshops say, well, I'm 80 and it's way too late. So I'm just going to do a journal and put it under my pantyhose for after I die, my family will have it. And they say, no, get your books out there, do it. Forget about your age.
Well, and it's interesting because my parents, I think my mother and father were in their 80s. Okay. And my mother was always a seamstress and she was a baker. And one day my father said to her, Dorothy, everyone loves your chocolate chip cookies. So why don't we start a business and you bake the cookies, which you love to do, and I'll go deliver them to offices. And they started a cookie business. And it was a grassroots. It really wasn't much more than that, but they were happy doing it. And then one of their customers said to them, you know what? Instead of just chocolate chip cookies, since you're coming to our offices early in the morning and you've got a basket full of goodies, why don't you add muffins? So
I-
they started doing that, but my mother had just a regular stove in her, oven in her house. She couldn't make enough muffins to fill orders. So between my parents and some family members, they found a pizza place that let them use their ovens in the middle of the night.
Oh,
Here were these two 80-year-old people, and my father had health issues, but he didn't care. And they'd get up in the middle of the night and he would stand by her side while she did the baking. And then in the morning, they would put them in fun, pretty little baskets. And he would go to the different businesses and he would sell the muffins.
oh, I love that.
And as kids, adult kids, we looked at them and we said, are you crazy? Why are you staying up all night long? Why are you doing this? And my father just looked at me and he said, because we can. And that's when it dawned on me. You know what?
Oh,
Nothing to do with their age, nothing to do with their health, but they felt satisfied at the end of the day. Look at what we're doing.
oh, how wonderful. And what you're saying is purpose is the longevity of life, not
Absolutely.
purpose.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And one of the things that you're doing, um, and you started this, what, 11 years ago with Age March? Um, it's not about you,
No,
which
no.
I find incredible because usually when people start a organization or a cause, they expect, well, look what I've done. Look how important I am. But that's not you. What you're saying to people is, hey, look at, I'm one of you, and we have to find another one like you, and we've got to come together because if we don't support each other, guess what?
Karen, what you said is so important too. No, it's not about me. I only had the idea. And what it is for all the age activists out there, all of them and all the nonprofits and people who are concerned with it, I want them to join and to be part of this because it's for all of us. It's like the gay pride movement. They
Absolutely.
started with 60 people and it is now worldwide, and everyone in the LGBTQ community is part of it. And this is why I'm out there pursuing it. And I hope it doesn't sound like, well, this is mine and join the club. This is not a club. This is a movement. And even if we have a few on the first virtual Age March show in March in history, that will be worldwide, I hope it will grow when I leave the planet. I hope it will grow. Karen, you better see that it grows.
Between your daughters, yeah. Well, between your daughters and the producers and so many other people that have jumped on board, okay, it will grow. Um, and again, I was sharing it with somebody the other day, and they said, "Well, what is your part in it?" And I said, "It's just about who I am, and it's about who you are and who you want to be. I want to be recognized as Karen, not necessarily as Karen at age 70 or 71 or 80. You know,
Who is at whatever your age is,
exactly.
who is working and dreaming and pursuing. But it's also about, we have more 20-year-olds and 25-year-olds who have joined this movement. I have almost, as of yesterday, 4,500 people of all ages who have joined this movement from around the country on agemarch.org. And that's what I'm hoping, that it will be taken over. I mean, we don't talk about, well, who's the founder of BLM? She lives in Oakland. I know who she is. Bravo to her. How wonderful what she's done and is doing. And the gay pride. I know the founders, but this is about everyone joining in and supported, because Karen, don't you agree? It's not about age. It's
It's
about quality.
Well, and let's think, and I'm glad you said that about the founders of Black Lives and founders of Pride, the founders of our country. Okay. Yes, they were held up on a pedestal, but they wouldn't have gotten there if we wouldn't have supported them, if we wouldn't have followed in their footsteps, if we wouldn't become the next ones. And if we can set that stage so that those who are just coming up the ranks, they're 10 years old, they're 15 years old, and they don't know what lies ahead. Well, let's let them know that there's so much that lies ahead and they don't have to worry about it because they're 15 years old and they haven't decided where they're going to go to college and what they want to pursue.
But they are lucky, these 15-year-olds. I want them to feel, we're not going to say to you, people shouldn't say to you, oh, you're too young, or you're too inexperienced, or what do you know? Or if I only knew that now what I knew then. It's not like that. We're all individuals, and that 15-year-old may very well have more wisdom and talent and purpose than a 95-year-old. It's not a one size fits all.
No.
I think of Dr. Martin Luther King, and I recently listened to his speech on YouTube again. I have a dream speech,
Sure.
and I think his followers grew the movement and are still growing the movement at every age. Rosa Parks was what? Was she 90 when she wouldn't get off her seat on the bus? And we all have to join in, is what I'm hoping for. It's not going to happen right now. It's been 11 years and I've given 6 marches, and each one has been a little more, a little more, a little more. And there's always little things that go along the way. But the umbrella of it, I hope, will grow. And you're helping it tremendously, not only by your support, your idea. When you said to me, I said, I can't give a march now because of the COVID. My last one was 2018. You said, well, what about a virtual march?
And I had no idea what I was saying other than I knew that even on a small scale, we could do something, um, but we are very lucky, um, and when I say we, I'm talking about everybody involved, to have producers who have joined and said, "Wait a second, there's a message here." And, you know, I can't thank them enough for seeing the message.
Timeless, they're tireless. And these are producers like Julie Stern, an executive award-winning producer who was a producer with OWN, an executive producer with Lifetime, and Colonel Isilio, I never pronounce his name right, he's going to kill me, who's not only a well-known actor, but a showrunner of many, many, many of our beloved shows, who are giving their time to make this worldwide and make it possible. And to the participants who have the gate closed now, but the participants who are going to be on the actual show. And Karen, we're going to be next to each other.
Love it. I love it. And don't forget Matt Jackson, who also has a podcast with us.
God, and not only that, Matt is going to be, I'm hoping, a host on this with a major celebrity. Matt Jackson is absolutely gorgeous, glamorous man in his 40s who's so talented.
Absolutely.
It's an honor to have Matt. And he designed the logo for the website. I mean, there's just been this incredible input. And I would also like to give credit to Bonnie Marcus, who started by getting money from the sponsor, Revitalash.
How wonderful.
Because if we didn't have that money, we wouldn't have had these producers. And she cared enough about it to go to Revitalash and get, the money. It's not a lot of money, but it was money to get us, started. So it takes a village.
And it does. And, the one thing that I have gathered since I met you, and your love.
Excuse me,
Sure.
I forgot my daughter, Susie
Well,
Younger.
I was just gonna say, right. And since I met you and your daughter, Susie, who, her vocation now is as a therapist, but her years in the industry, the entertainment industry, she's helped bring all this together, um, which I think, is more than I ever could have dreamed of. In fact, when I threw out the idea to you, oh, well, let's have a virtual march, I I wasn't trying to make more work for your beautiful daughter. Um, but you also have a second beautiful daughter who is so supportive and understanding, and two son-in-laws who treat you just like mom, their best friend. This is why it takes a village, because as you said, yeah, you've made mistakes along the way. Who hasn't? We all have. In fact, I made one this morning and I had to grovel a little bit because I realized that somebody didn't read what I was thinking properly. And so I had to go back and say, I don't think you understood what I was trying to say. So let me say it, very plainly. And I did. And the person wrote back to me and said, you know, I'm going to take fault because I read it wrong. And I said, then there's no fault because we had to come to that communication. And sometimes those things happen.
Good for you, Karen. And it's called taking accountability. And I'm trying to do that. I'm trying to do that. It is a journey. I have always worked alone in writing books and teaching writing classes at San Francisco State University for people 60 plus. So I've always been alone with my classroom or my work, and I'm not a good team player. So When I got on this incredible production team that Susie brought in, because Susie was with the William Morris Talent Agency for over 20 years, and she's very respected and very connected and very wonderful person. And she brought in these people. Suddenly, I felt, oh my God, this one's saying this, and this one's wanting this, and this one's wanting that. And I didn't always handle myself wonderfully, but I didn't realize it. I didn't realize it until now. And the lesson learned, which your show is about, the lesson learned for me is take accountability, understand it, and if you have to apologize, apologize. Try not to repeat the same mistakes. And it does take time to do that because you have to, once again, I call it the trip into the subconscious. It takes a couple days or so. It's a journey, but you have to do it. And you may lose people along the way, which is unfortunate.
Well, and I think again, it's like you have said, you got to dig deep inside yourself. You have to know what it is that you need. You have to position yourself around people that have similar interests. They don't have to be exact. You don't have to agree 100%, but you have those similarities. And when you have those similarities and you're willing to work through the hard stuff, wow, at the end of the day, not only have we learned something new, but we become better for it because we're not doing the same old thing.
That's the whole lesson. And that's what being a movie star is to keep learning those lessons. Don't repeat them just because of, I hear people say, well, I'm 90, I can say what I want. It doesn't matter. I can do what I want. No, not true, because you're not going to grow. And
Exactly.
it's growing until the end, and then some. Don't you agree on that?
Absolutely. And the fact that you said that, I have to share something with our listeners. We had a birthday party for my mother at her 95th birthday. And to this day, I'm grateful that we did because at that 95th birthday, everybody was making accolades to her and everything. And she said, "It's my turn." And we said, "Okay." And she said, "Don't forget, I'm the matriarch of the family." She was the only one left, the oldest. And we said, "Okay." And she said, "And I can say whatever I want." And she went around the room and she told all of us what she thought of us. Mostly it was nice stuff. Okay. She wasn't actually mean, but my mother was one that if something came off of her tongue, she didn't stop and necessarily correct it. Um, but I have a cousin who, uh, all my cousins that were there, my one cousin and her husband were from my father's side of the family. Everybody else was from my mother's side of the family. And as my mother went around talking about it, she said, "And my my niece Kayla, she's from the other side." And everybody just laughed because, like, I mean, we sort of knew what she was saying, but it didn't sound very nice. And afterwards, we said, "Mom, why did you say that?" And she said, "Well, she is. She's from your father's side, not my side. That's exactly what I meant." So, we do get to an age when we think we can say whatever we want to say.
We don't have to learn anymore.
Exactly. And from that day on, she really got to that point where, you know what? I'm going to say what I want to say. And there were times I would call her on the phone and she didn't like what I was saying. Um, and right before she got ill, she noticed I was growing my hair out and she said, "That's stupid. Older women are supposed to wear short hair." And I looked at her and I said, "Not this older woman."
This one.
Yeah. And do you know how many women I have seen from 60 on, especially since the pandemic, and
Yeah,
we're growing it out. And
feel her grow out. It's beautiful to
we're
be natural.
and we're doing what we want to do. So just like my mother, sometimes our tongues get in the way of our brains. But you said it before. Take the accountability. And you have, and I'm working at it. And you know what? We're still going to make mistakes, aren't we, Barbara?
And I'm trying. It definitely brings you to a new place. I just want to say one thing because I know we probably have to go soon, or you have to go soon. I love that Einstein, when he died, he had an equation in his hand that he was still working on. And I, it, because he was, I don't remember what age he was, he had been ill. But the thing is, whether you're terminally ill and you know that it's a matter of time, but there's always the mind and the spirit that is pursuing new thoughts or new ways. And I happen to believe that it takes you into another alternate journey. I really do. So we can't stop learning the lessons. And Karen, I can't thank you enough for having me on today to talk about lessons learned, because that's what I'm pursuing right now, learning new lessons.
Well, I'm so glad that we had this talk today. I look forward to having you in my life for a very long time.
Too.
And I cannot wait till Age March that is coming up. Well, I'm sure we'll talk more about it on your show, The Rant. But in the meantime, if anybody wants more information, please go to agemarch.org. All the information is out there. The information about the wonderful producers and all the people who are helping put this together. Their information is out there. And if you get a chance, send out a thank you to the people who are on the front line, and including Julie and Colonel and Bonnie and a whole slew of others that um, have taken a comment that I said, oh, let's do a virtual age march, but they're making it happen.
Yes. And Matt, yes.
And Matt, I'm sorry again. Wow, poor Matt. We keep like,
We all know Matt is a star. We all know
he is.
Matt is a star.
He is. Give my love to your family. You stay well. And next week, you and I will come back on for the rant. How do you like that? Sounds good. Have a
Okay.
great day. Bye bye.